Good morning. So today we are going to spend the day reflecting on our Unit 1 exam and reflecting on our overall grades for Unit 1 so that everyone can decide if they want to take any revisions. So I'm going to take a particular moment to talk a little bit about how revisions work so you can decide if you want to take any revisions. Okay, so here I have an example of a student's overall grades for Unit 1. Okay, so this student's overall grade currently, overall in our class, is an 80.8 because the only unit we have right now is Unit 1. So this student currently has a B average, and that is made up of an average of their 4 learning targets that were in Unit 1. So there was learning target 1.02, there was learning target 1.03, 1.04, and 1.05. And within each of these learning targets, multiple assessments make up the average that you see over here. So for example, in this learning target, if you click the arrow, which I can't do here, but you can on your jump rope, you can click this arrow and it will drop down and show you all the assessments that are in here that make up this grade. So for example, there might be an exit ticket in there might be a quiz grade, and there might also be your unit assessment grade. So remember, those are all different weights. An exit ticket counts 1 time in your grade, a quiz counts 3 times, and your unit assessment counted 5 times. So that's all averaged together, and here is this student's overall average for learning target 1.02. This is their overall average for learning target 1.03, and so on for 1.04 and 1.05. So right now as a student, you're going to think about which of these learning targets might I want to revise. Okay, so number one thing to consider is that anything above an 80% cannot be revised. So this student cannot bring up either of these grades. They're both above an 80%. They've shown mastery on both learning target 1.04 and 1.05, so they don't need to do anything about this because they already know this material. Okay? This student, however, might consider thinking about revising 1.02 and 1.03. Let's start with 1.02. This is a really good one to revise because it's red. Jump rope's kind of telling us that we didn't learn the material that we needed to learn, so we should probably think about revising it. This one, 75.7, the student can consider whether or not they think this is important for them to revise or not. They've not shown mastery because mastery is 80%, but they're close to mastery. This is like almost a 76. So the best grade that they can get on a revision, remember, is an 80%. They can't score any higher than that. So the difference between this average and an 80 is only 4 points. Okay? The one that I would consider most important to revise is 1.02 because this one's really low and this student can bring this learning target up 20 points or so, which is going to bring their overall average up probably a good 4 or 5 points, which is important, right? Because this average right now is an 80.8, which means that even though the student has a B right now, it would be very easy to slide towards a C by just losing this 0.8 of a point. So this student might think about or consider revising this learning target. Now, how do we revise learning targets? So typically revisions take place after school, but this week I'm going to offer them for Unit 1 during class on Friday. So everyone who comes to class on Friday is going to have the opportunity to revise some of their learning targets. Okay. Remember, a revision doesn't mean you retake any tests that we've done before. Okay. Because obviously this student doesn't need to retake an entire unit assessment. They've already shown mastery in 2 of the 4 learning targets, and they've shown close to mastery in the 3rd one. The only one they really need to show mastery on is this learning target 1.02. So I'm going to give them a test that is just on learning target 1.02. I don't need to give them assessments on these other 3. So if they decide that they want to retake this, they can sign up for a revision on Friday, which you'll have an opportunity to do in a moment. And they can revise this learning target and take a test just on 1.02. So this student would want to spend some time reminding themselves how to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. Now, in order to revise this learning target, this student scored below a 70%. which to me as a teacher says they may not understand the material that well and that they need to spend some time getting extra help. So if you have below a 70% on a learning target that you want to revise, you will be required to attend an extra help session. In a moment, you're going to have an opportunity to see when those extra help sessions are and to sign up for one of them. Okay? This student would have to come to an extra help session in order to take the revision. So I'm going to know who's come to the extra help sessions, and if this student doesn't come to an extra help session, they will not be able to take the revision on Friday in class. And their grade will remain as it is, and they will not be able to change it ever again. Okay? So revisions are on Friday, and after Friday, every grade that you see in Unit 1 will be there forever. Okay? We can't change them after this Friday. And remember, just worth saying that on Friday is the end of the quarter, so grade reports, progress reports are going home the following week. So you have an opportunity to get any grade that you're concerned about up before that time. Now, this student might decide that they really are, eventually they want an A in this class, and in order to get an A, they're going to need to bring this one up too to an 80%. So they can also take a revision on 1.03. And because their average is above a 70, they don't have to come to extra help for this learning target. They only have to complete a Delta Math practice. Anyone who has a 70% or higher average is welcome to also come to extra help, but they don't have to go to extra help. Okay? Anything above a 70, any learning target that's above a 70, you only have to do the Delta Math practice in order to take the revision. And the thought behind that is because this student actually knows the material pretty well and may have just made some small mistakes and needs a little bit more practice. Okay, so that's kind of how the revision system works. Please remember it's really important to consider today and write down any dates for anything you sign up for, because you won't have another opportunity after Friday to bring up any of these Unit 1 grades. Okay, they kind of go into the grade book forever and ever after this, all right? So consider what you might want to bring up. You will not be able to take more than 3 revisions on Friday. And that's just a timing thing because we only have 35 minutes in class, and I don't think you can take more than 3 in that amount of time. So if you didn't do well on the Unit 1 assessment and you have below 70 grades on everything, consider the top 3 that you might be able to, you feel like you know enough about that you could do well. And then just leave the last grade alone. Okay, if you have any questions at this point, you can raise your hand and ask Ms. Nolan any clarifying questions. But if you think you understand everything that's going on right now, I'm going to have you just log onto Jump Rope. So log onto your own Jump Rope. Remember, your username is, your first name is both your first name space your middle name, and your last name is your last name, and then your password is going to be your 5-digit student ID number. All right, so as soon as you're done with this video, go ahead and log on to Jump Rope. Leave Jump Rope up in the background, and then work on Quizlet until everyone is done with this video. So log on to Jump Rope, leave it open, and work on Quizlet while you wait for further instructions from me.